Welcome to Barber Motorsports Park. We're here for round 11 and 12 of GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS. We're in Birmingham, Alabama, where rich motorsports tradition meets Southern hospitality at one of the most picturesque circuits in all of the world. Barber isn't just a racetrack. It's a living museum with rolling hills, manicured grounds, and sculptures woven through the landscape. What's your favorite? And if that isn't already enough, it's also home to the largest collection of motorcycles in the world. Say hello to Barber Vintage Motorsports Museum, a Guinness World Record holder since 2014. Pretty cool, right? On track, Barber is pure driver's territory. 17 corners, relentless elevation changes, and blind entries that demand rhythm, courage, and precision. For 90 minutes, traffic management becomes an art form. And with the Indianapolis 8-hour up next, this is the last sprint weekend on the season with 50 crucial championship points available in all three classes. In the Pro Championship, the title fight stays alive, with Random Vandals Kenton Cook and Connor DeFilippi battling JMF Motorsports Mackay Stevens and Mikel Grenier all the way to the finale. In Pro-Am, Justin Rothberg and Robbie Foley carry the advantage, but one stumble could swing things to DXDT's Matt Bell and Blake McDonald. And it'll come down to the wire for the AM category of AF Courses Jay Schreibman and Oz Negri trying to hold off Dolahite Racing's Scott Dolahite in a Ford versus Ferrari showdown that'll settle in Indianapolis. So whether you're trackside or joining us from home, buckle in because we're ready for world-class racing from the heart of Dixie. Y'all come back now.
Just 11 hours of racing remain in the 2025 GT World Challenge America powered by AWS season as the championship enters its final stretch. And now it's arrived here in the Deep South for a pair of 90-minute contests. 3 tightly contested class fights remain to be decided, and time is running out, so each race takes on an added significance. Hello, along with Amanda Busick and Calvin Fish, I'm Ryan Marine. It's a beautiful day to be trackside here at Barber Motorsports Park, just outside of Birmingham, Alabama. Temperatures climbing close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and for the first time today, track temperatures are up over 100 degrees. High humidity in the air as well, which will make this an endurance test as much as anything over the next 90 minutes of activity. It's an amazing racetrack, only opened just over a couple of decades ago. Let's learn a little bit more about the challenge of Barber Motorsports Park with our very own Calvin Fish and a special guest with our track preview.
Barber Motorsports Park is recognized as the Augusta National of Motorsports for obvious reasons. There's the sheer beauty of both facilities, the pristine conditioning, but I think it digs a little bit deeper than that. To have success at the Masters is all about positioning the golf ball off the tee so you can then hit your targets. I think it's the same thing with this racetrack. Your lines are so important. Hitting your marks is critical to a good lap time here. Our caddy for the day is Robbie Foley, driver of the BMW M4 number 29 for Turner Motorsports. Robbie, sorry about the early tee time. You're going to be our caddy here and talk us through this racetrack. It's crunch time in this championship, mate. Penultimate round, you have the lead with Justin Rothberg. How do you tackle this venue? Turn 1, high-speed corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful facility here at Barber Motorsports Park. Turn 1, very unique corner. Initially downhill, blind at the entry, and as you get to the apex, you just start to pick up some grip as you kind of drop down into that compression. But interestingly, going downhill at the turning point, the car's quite light initially as you turn the wheel. So carrying in a lot of speed, high commitment corner, and then hopefully the compression here catches you at the apex.
Yeah, you talk about the compression here on the exit. Is that a safety net, or if you're in trouble, you're already out in the boonies early?
Yeah, the tone of that is kind of set early on,
right.
But you're always looking for that edge of the road, and hopefully it catches you and kind of gives you a rhythm to get back a little bit to the left for turn 2.
The challenges are just beginning. Let's move on. Robbie, we talk about how precise you have to be with your lines around this race circuit, but I love this little sector here. It's like a mini corkscrew as you approach the museum corner. Turns 7 and 8. How attacking can you get over those curves before you run into trouble through here?
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful section of corners here, and it takes a bit of a unique car setup to be able to crash over those curbs, but you've got to do it to open up your radius and carry the maximum speed. But as you get down to the bottom of the hill here, at the second apex, you have a lot of grip initially in this compression, and then you sort of lose it as you exit the corner. So you got to kind of set up for the exit as well, but if you don't carry enough speed there at the top, you're going to be slow to the bottom. So it's always that game of how much speed can you carry while also getting a good exit.
And how important is protecting that left front for later in the stint and later in the run?
Huge here. This is one of those corners where you can sort of grind it off if you're too aggressive.
Right.
So you got to kind of keep it within its slip limit and kind of think about the exit and just protecting both those left side tires. If you have an understeer, you can quickly snap to an oversteer. So it's a tight balance here.
And the speed really ramps up from here. Let's move on. Robbie, as we get towards the end of the lap, the approach here to turn 12 is the fastest part on this racetrack, about 145 miles an hour approach speed. You've really got to thread the needle through here. How much of the curves do you use in this little sector?
The first curve I'm sort of staying off of. If you hit it, you can sort of put the car too far right for the bottom of the hill here. So I'm aiming for a bit of a late apex for turn 12 to open up 13. Still trying to carry maximum speed in, but if you end up driving too hard through turn 12, you end up set up wrong for here, and then you pay for it over the crest.
How much of the curve do you use here through the second phase?
Generally just a white area, white and gray area. You can get kind of beyond that, but you got to be perfect with the line. Sometimes it can kick the car sideways. So this sort of area right where we're standing now kind of sets your fate for what's going to happen at the crest.
Right.
If you got a bit too much speed and you're sort of understeering wide, you can end up just off the track at the exit in the grass. Equally, if you have that understeer, it can turn into a snap. So right about here, you sort of know where you're going to head, where you're going to end up. But yeah, great section of corners.
Good stuff, Robbie. Best of luck this weekend. So that's a look at some key corners here. Now let's ride on board with Robbie Foley for a full lap of this amazing circuit.
Here we are at Barber Motorsports Park. Come with me for a lap in our Lady Creek BMW M4 GT3. Headed into turn 1, high speed, high commitment corner here. We're going to get up to 5th gear, braking around the Onboard down to 4th, turning in early, getting into that apex, all the way out to the right side. Turn 2, long kind of double apex corner. Trying to pick up the power as early as you can here. Getting a good exit up to 4th gear, 5th gear, headed to turn 5. Really tricky braking zone as it's downhill. Braking just around the 2 or just after, down to 2nd gear. A couple different lines to pick from here. I go for the wide line this time. Carrying a lot of speed through the corner, up to 3rd gear, 4th gear. Again, just into 5th as we head to the famous museum section. Braking around the 1, down to ultimately 3rd gear, now 2nd gear as we crash over these curbs. 2nd gear, getting a nice exit under the bridge here, up to 4th gear. Headed into the kink. Just a lift in our GT3 cars, maybe flat in qualifying, we'll see. Up to 5th gear. And down into turn 12, 145 mile an hour entry. 4th gear. Staying in 4th gear this lap in our BMW. And headed into the final section, 2 sort of switchback corners. 2nd gear for a brief moment, then up to 3rd gear. And just a lift off, trying to get the front end. Getting a good exit onto that front straight, and that's a lap around Barber Motorsports Park.
What a place. Opened in 2003, built by George W. Barber, designed by Alan Wilson. 880 acres of motorsports heaven. Fantastic venue deep in the heart of Dixie. Well, standing down on the grid for an opportunity to chat with some of the protagonists ahead of today's race. Let's head once more to Amanda Busick.
Hey, Ryan. Yeah, I loved how you said that there's 11 hours left of competition in this 2025 season. There's also 100 points left on the board for these teams as these points battles heat up as we get back into the championship discussion. And I don't know what these two are doing over here, if they're having any championship discussion, but 1 and 2 in points in the pro category. And you guys will start right next to each other today. And Kenton, when you look at Barber Motorsports Park and what this place is about, why will it favor the BMW?
You're going to ask the same question to him, aren't you? I don't know. I mean, yeah, the BMW has always been strong in the straights here. The final sector of the Mercedes is quite good. But But thankfully, being strong in the first 2 sectors is kind of where you can make some passes happen. So I think we should be able to at least make a good defense on the Mercedes at the end of the run here, because I think they're going to be strong at the end.
Well, you're starting off the stint here today, and Mikel Grenier will start on pole tomorrow during his race. And as you guys kick things off here, we are talking championship. It's just that point of the season. Why does it matter right here in this race as we head to Indy?
Well, we're a bit behind in the championship, so we need a few more points than them. Indy's also double point, so it could pay out there, but we need to be a bit closer in the championship. So let's see how today turns out, and tomorrow we start from pole as well, so we'll see. I think we, as Kenton said, they are really strong in Sector 1 and 2, and we are very strong in Sector 3, so I think it will be quite interesting race.
What have you guys been chatting about here on the grid today?
Yeah, exactly. So, slow down.
All right, you guys play nice as we head over, and as taking in the moment, who will kick off this stint in the JMF Motorsports Mercedes is Mackay Stevens, and I see you so locked in, so loaded, per usual. What's in that mind of yours right now, Mackay?
Just to respect the gift that's been presented to me, to be in this privileged place with JMF Motorsports. Mick is a teammate, an opportunity to live out the dream in the company of some tremendous athletes within themselves and drivers. So just looking forward to the road ahead.
Starting, good luck today, Mackay. And starting right behind that JMF Mercedes will be the BMW entry of Arun Choksky and Bill Auberly. And Bill, we know from a season of woes, this could be a turnaround for you guys. And I know you guys so desperately needed it. Qualifying looked so great for you guys. Why is this the weekend?
That's a good question. I mean, we love this place. This is great fun here. My Random Vandals guys, no matter where we are, they do a great job. I love them so much. And it's great to be in this series, this championship. Varun is my teammate. It's been fun. We do need some luck, right? It would be great to come out of here somewhere on that top step of the podium if we can do it. But what's important is our sister cars in the championship lead. And we need them to get as many points as possible. So pretty sure if we're behind them, that might be the way you see it, but we'll be there to protect them all the way out.
Does that change the way you race that Mercedes that's right in front of you guys today?
You know, I'm just going to race everybody else as hard as I can. I don't care about that, but it will be how I race my team car. I'll make sure that we don't get near them and we protect them as best we can.
We look forward to it. Good luck today, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, guys, as we continue to head down pit lane, I do see a 3-minute warning from the officials to get this race underway. I do see my drivers locked and loaded, ready to go for this 90-minute race ahead, Ryan. But while we're at it, I do want to mention, whether you're watching from home or here trackside, take out that mobile phone of yours, find the App Store, and download the GT World powered by SRO app. We now have all of our series news, live updates, as well as racing right at your fingertips. That is GT World powered by SRO. Ryan, you on the hunt up there?
Oh, you know it. Got it downloaded. I'm ready to go. It's a special weekend for SRO because of the debut of that app. It's also a special weekend here at Barber Motorsports Park, partnering up with the University of Alabama Birmingham Medicine and Teal Wings for Hope. September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and Teal Wings of Hope is a Birmingham-based nonprofit dedicated to education, awareness, and advocacy for individuals and families affected by ovarian cancer, founded by Bob Barrett in memory of his wife, Babs. And we had a great gala last night at the museum here on site. I'm told they raised a ton of money for a wonderful cause. Check them out online if you'd like more information. Teal Wings of Hope, and a great partnership as well with the University of Alabama Birmingham Medicine and a wonderful charity here in September, Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Drivers are locked in, Cal, getting ready to go here. Crucial time in the championship, and you can kind of feel the tension in some of those interviews. Then you get to Bill Auberly, who's not in the championship battle, and he's as loosey-goosey as they come.
He is. You know Bill loves to win, and it's been a tough year for he and Varun in terms of just knocking on the door on podiums, but not really a threat for a win so far. But he had great pace this morning. I think potentially there was a position to be gained. He had a really fast lap going there, just dropped some wheels coming through turn 13. So I think the car's got the speed this weekend. They've gone in different directions with the two Random Vandals machines in terms of setup, but he's already made the statement. He's going to support Kenton and Connor in the 99 car. I think his goal is to get around Mackay earlier if he can and make it a BMW 1-2 at the beginning of this race in the pro class. But championships are tied, just 18 points separating the 99 squad and the JMF team of the number 34. So big swings like Mikel talked about. We have to take points away. We can't afford Onboard being more of a deficit as we go to Indy.
Right, that's the pro class. 2 other classes as well with championships up for grabs. We've got Philip Ellis locked in using the alternate strategy, regulator racing with a couple of wins, 3 wins already on the season, and he's locked in, ready to go for yet another. Time now for the famous words that will get us started. To give the command to start engines, here's Madeline Busick.
Race drivers, start your engines!
Fantastic work, Madeline. Great to have you here at the racetrack. And with that, the engines are fired up down on the grid. We talked about 2 of the 3 classes. Should also mention the AM class battle. Scott Dollahite will start his Mustang from pole position, but it is close between the Dollahite team and AF Corsa with their Ferrari. Heard Amanda preview it earlier, Cal. Ford versus Ferrari. Where have we heard that before?
Yeah, that's an awesome story that continues, of course, but just 10.5 points separating those 2 squads heading into this weekend, and importantly for the number 6 car that had that huge wreck in race 1 at Road America. They borrowed the car from Turner Motorsports and just got some points on the board by starting that race, but they got a brand new chassis here this weekend. I spoke to the Dollahite team just an hour or so ago, and they said this new car is even better, so they haven't missed a beat. They're looking really strong here this weekend. Scott Dollahite has really stepped up his game, and he's got a great teammate this year in Eric Powell.
Yeah, Scott's not been home since the accident up at Road America. They flew directly to North Carolina. He's been working hands-on with the team. Eric Powell has spent some time at the shop with that Multimatic lent to them to build this car up to be ready to go. An amazing story. They'll start out 13th overall, but on pole crucially in the class. And they know they need to stack some wins together to be in the championship hunt going into the double points Indy 8-hour. Pole positions in the respective classes here today. Overall pole to the Pro-Am car, Regulator Racing. Philip Ellis had the 2nd fastest lap time across all of the qualifying sessions, and he's on pole for race number 1. He's got Kenton Cook alongside, sharing the front row in the Random Vandals BMW, and as mentioned, Scott Dollahite, the pole sitter in the Dollahite Racing Ford Mustang. Starting grid here for you. Rova Pole Award to Philip Ellis in the Mercedes from Regulator Racing. Kenton Cook alongside. Then it's Mackay Stevens and Bill Auberlen. They'll share row number 2. In row 3, Alex Sedgwick for RS1, the Porsche driver in a Pro Class entry, next to Blake McDonald, first on his strategy in the Pro-Am class. Diego Gomez Nunez makes his series debut this weekend. He'll be alongside Justin Rothberg, the defending Pro-Am champion in GT World Challenge America. Jason Daskalos, they had a technical issue in qualifying. Nick Short, the team owner, told me it's all set, they're good to go. Gray Newell starts alongside in row 5. Then it's Ross Schwest, a winner already today in GT America. It was a brilliant drive we'll talk more about in a moment. Kyle Washington is next to him. Scott Dollahite, the M-Class pole sitter, starting back in row 7 next to Todd Coleman for Archangel Motorsports. And Jay Schreiber starting out back in the 2nd of the AF Corsa Ferrari, 2nd place as well in AM. First of 2 formation laps already completed. New tire, Calvin, that we saw debut at Road America. Some of these teams and drivers had experience with it over in Europe, but it's made its way stateside for the first time last month, and I think everyone's still coming to grips with it a little bit, especially at this circuit where it has been known to be a bit abrasive, and tire wear is something that the teams will say is at the top of their minds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly you got to protect that tire a little bit. I mean, doing that track walk with Robbie the other day, you certainly noticed that some of the apexes have really sort of chewed out a little bit, and that's going to really work like a file on top of these tires here today. So they got to be managing that. I think the feedback with the tire is it's not a huge change. I think the rear sidewall construction is a little bit different, so setups are slightly different from what we saw early in the year prior to Road America where this tire was debuted. But I think it's got great grip, great performance. I think marbles are an issue, pickup is an issue, so if you get a full course yellow and you're rumbling around here, you've got to make sure you keep those tires clean and keep the energy in them.
This is Dr. Warner, Chair, UAB Obstetrics and Gynecology. He has the privilege of waving the green flag to get the race underway, getting some last-minute instructions from Tom Hansing, the series flagman. Very special opportunity there, and again, recognizing the great partnership here this weekend with the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and the Associated Causes as we get ready Lights off on the safety car. It pulls away. Now field under the control of Philip Ellis in the Mercedes. Kenton Cook, Pro Class pole sitter, starts alongside. Then it's Stevens and Oberlin in row 2. Sedgwick and McDonald, Nunez and Rothberg, Daskalos and Newell. The top 10 as the field enters the VP acceleration zone, just waiting for that green flag. And with it, we'll get the race underway. 11 hours of racing left in this season, but the clock is already ticking. Here comes Ellis into turn 1. Side by side further back, really close between Cook and Stevens, but they're able to coexist.
And look at this, Bill Auberlen touched to the inside. He's going to try and make a move on the JMF Mercedes. This is critical for Random Vandals. It looks like he's got the move done.
Wow, what a move there by Bill Auberlen to get up one more position. Now he'll play tail gunner for the teammate. It was 3 wide further back. Ross Schwest super aggressive early on, as was Todd Coleman, as was Kyle Washington, and Schwest has gone around at the back of the pack.
Coming off a GT America victory a couple of hours ago. He's got the car turned enough to miss that arm car. We're going to try and get straightened out. The car's shown a lot of pace here this weekend.
As indeed. Remember, that GT America race win started with the spin on the formation lap. The team elected to start him on slicks when the track was absolutely soaked, but they knew it was going to dry. It ultimately did come their way, but misfortune here early in the GT World Challenge race. Here comes Nunez, the Brazilian, making his debut. What a move to the inside of McDonald, but he takes it a little bit too deep, and it opens the door back up, and he goes off track as well.
Yeah, pretty aggressive move there, and McDonald did a great job of protecting, losing another position to Rothberg right behind him. That's got championship implications. We head down through the final corner. Second place runner in that Pro-Am class is that number 11, and the championship leader is right behind him.
Exactly, and they lead effectively on their strategy. We go full course yellow, which is what their strategy wants relative to Philip Ellis, who leads overall. This is why Ross Schwest, dead stick, he really needs to get this thing rolling or else risks losing a lap, and with that, he does drop behind the leader of the race.
Yeah, I think the incline, these cars are super tricky with their clutch systems and stuff these days to get moving, particularly on that incline. May just be kind of stalling out somehow. That's a shame because the car has shown great pace this weekend.
Should be a brief yellow though, just to get that car refired, back underway. Philip Ellis from pole position was able to hang on to the lead. Meanwhile, we had the noteworthy debut of Diego Nunez. This is up the inside of McDonald, just a little bit too deep. Couldn't get the speed arrested in time.
Yeah, we talked about how technical this racetrack is, and that's a prime example of that. You get a little bit offline, you're out of sequence for the next corner. That'll bite you in a hurry.
Diego, a super experienced driver, making his first start stateside, but raced extensively in single-seaters in Europe, finished second in Italian Formula 3000 back in 2007, actually finished runner-up to Davide Rigon of Ferrari fame, and subsequently has been doing a lot of racing in his native Brazil, including a relationship that goes quite a ways back with Marcelo Hahn, who is his co-driver here this weekend.
See, everyone kept pushing pretty hard here. That may be due to them trying to want to keep those tires nice and clean. Now we've got the safety car out there, has arrested the overall leader, Philip Ellis, of course. Kenton Cook right behind him with his teammate as a wingman.
Well, we could all take a breath here. That was a frantic start. How about the aggression from Oberlin? Certainly also Mackay Stevens, very aggressive early on. Talked to him briefly before the race, and he was kicking himself, especially when his teammate stuck the car on pole for tomorrow's race. He knows there was a little bit more in it in his qualifying run, so he's committed to trying to pick up a couple of spots here in his stint.
Yeah, he's got some work to do, though. Oberlin got that jump on him. Sedgwick looked like he was going to get a move done on Oberlin, and then suddenly both Sedgwick and Mackay elected to go a little bit high in turn 2. That opened up the door for Oberlin, and he stuck in there with his experience. He didn't need a second invite, that's for sure.
Good look at this field of race cars, 15 strong, taking the start here today. Of course, yellow for the issue for Ross Schwest. But he is back underway, so it should be a restart imminently. On board here with the leader in the Pro Class. Already a race winner this weekend, too. Kenton Cook, high drama in the first of 3 GT4 America races yesterday. Took the lead with a lap and a half to go and did not look back.
Here we go.
mentioned it should be imminent. Indeed it is. Safety car is already off the racing surface, and now Philip Ellis leads the field into the restart zone, puts the pedal down. This, though, is where the BMW is so strong, in a straight line, right there in striking distance of the race leader, Philip Ellis, but Kenton Cook elects to just stay in line, run in lockstep down through turn 1.
Yeah, and Orpland's car is carving these corners pretty effectively. Kenton's trying to find the grip level immediately in front of him, and Sedgwick is putting the pressure on Stevens there for P4 overall, third in class.
RS1 guys felt pretty confident in the Porsche package here at Barber. It didn't really manifest in qualifying, but let's see what happens over a full race stint. Ellis trying to get away, build that gap with the time he has remaining to him in this stint. Remember, Regulator Racing elects to start its pro driver in race 1, which is contrary to pretty much the rest of the field. So they really need this to be a nice, clean race from here on out in order to make this work.
Yeah, they don't need the interruptions in play, because that just eliminates the cushion that Philip Ellis can potentially build here through the first phase of this race. You've got Oberlin on a similar strategy. He has just a touch more speed than his teammate. Chalksy, and certainly a ton more experience than Nunez, of course, who got into trouble early. He's the faster of the two drivers in that Ferrari, the blue Ferrari right there, currently behind Kyle Washington.
Might explain the aggression from Nunez at the start. He knows he needs to get moving.
That was a sweet move.
Sure was.
That was really pretty.
Yeah, he's really overjoyed about getting this chance to make his first ever GT3 start. Lots of Brazilian stock car experience, a race winner in that championship. And if you know anything about Brazilian stock cars, you know it takes some talent to run at the front of that pack.
Board of a McLaren of Archangel Motorsports. Todd Coleman really stepped up his game this year. I think he's really found a great home with this car. Gives him a lot of confidence. Mike Johnson spoke to him this weekend, and he just said, you know, the car's really quick. He said the one problem we have with this race car is really strong in the brake zones, really strong through apex speed, but from point A to point B, we struggle a little bit, and that makes it a little bit hard to race, to make position changes. If you got the track position, you're good. If you're trying to chase down someone past them, not ideal.
Yeah, I talked to Todd about that very thing after Road America, and he said what it means is we have to be so aggressive, take extra risk when it comes to overtaking, because we're coming from a lot further back.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's hard to pass around this racetrack anyway, and if you're on that slight deficit as you get to those brake zones, it can be a bit of a banzai move. Later in the stint, if you get a little bit of tire degradation here with the abrasiveness of this circuit, there may be some opportunities, so just got to be patient, but qualifying is so key here at Barber.
A couple of clean race laps since the restart. Philip Ellis has his head down. He's done the best lap of the race by a hefty margin, a 1:22.473 the last time by. His gap over Kenton Cook for the overall lead is just over a second. Cook and Oberlin in formation, the two Random Vandals teammates, first and second in pro, with Stevens and Sedgwick nipping at their heels. But how about this turnaround in fortunes for CRP Racing? This is Jason Daskalos, up to fourth now in class, 8th overall. They had a throttle body issue, I'm told, that basically shut off the left bank in the engine this morning. Whoa, Washington and Coleman, that's really close.
Yeah, it's a nice move though. I really feel we talked about after the summer break for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa that Kyle Washington came back and didn't really feel he had that edginess in his driving at Road America. But boy, has he really come on song here this weekend. Had a great run in GT America this morning with a podium finish there, but he's starting to feel it again. I think Tom Sargent has been flying here this weekend. Topped both of the practice sessions here yesterday with his GMG Porsche riding on board here.
He was in some tough scraps earlier today, wasn't he? And he got his dander up, which is when Kyle Washington is at his most dangerous, I think it's safe to say. If he's in the battle, you know he's going to be elbows out and loving life.
Todd Coleman here just trying to get back into his rhythm, feeling the heat from our AM leader, Scott Dollarheight. Spoke to Bill, his father, this morning. He just said tremendous effort to get this new car ready. And the team just took the car apart and said this car seemed to come together a lot easier than the old one. And they said when they put it on the racetrack, the pace was there immediately.
Yeah, Scott doing a great job right now, putting the pressure on Todd Coleman. That's 12th and 13th overall. He's Speaking of Coleman, Amanda reports that there might have been some contact with the 88 McLaren and the 50 Corvette. That's certainly what the Schwest Povolato racing team feels occurred, that led to the spin. Gearbox stuck in gear, so it took them a little while to get that rectified, and it's cost them a lap. That's really difficult to overcome in a race that is relatively short at just 90 minutes.
Yeah, it really is. That's a shame for that group, because they're really starting to turn the tables a little bit. Spoke to Aaron Povolato this weekend. He just said it's all about people. He said we just brought on more full-time people. He said running a GT3 car is such a huge step up from GT4, and we just really had to elevate our program. We've got some really good key people involved now, and that's why our performance is showing.
Yeah, I've talked to several teams and drivers that have made that jump in recent years, and they say, you know, the manual for a GT4 car could be 20, 30 pages. Multiply that by 5 or 6, and that's what you're looking at with one of these high-tech GT3 machines. And every adjustable piece on it has dozens of different options, basically, whereas at the lower levels, your options on those adjustable parts are much more limited.
Chase Robin's done a really nice job there. He's kind of hanging in the shadows here of Dollarhide, so that's a really good opening stint for him aboard the AF Corsa Ferrari. He shares that car with Oz Negri. Again, Bill and Dollarhide said, we've got a great scrap potentially, because he's Eric Powell aboard the 6 Mustang and Oz Negri aboard that 163 Ferrari, are very evenly matched on pace, so it could be a real shootout for that AM win here today.
Battle heating up here for 5th and 6th. Gray Newell for Heart of Racing in the Aston Martin, under pressure from the Ferrari. This is Nunez trying to recover from his off-track excursion on the opening lap. Busy weekend for the Heart of Racing team running this program here in GT World Challenge America. Oh, full course yellow once again. This is really bad news. Oh, it's Ross Schwest again who's had a problem. So bad news for them. Bad news as well for Regulator Racing. This wipes away a 2.5-second lead for Philip Ellis.
Yeah, this is not with that reverse strategy. You do not need to keep having that buffer that you've created, the gap erased by these full course yellows. They want them tomorrow.
Yes.
When the positions are reversed, but not today.
Well, it has worked tremendously well this year for Regulator. 3 wins on the season, including 2 overall wins. Unfortunately for them, one of those came in race 1 at Road America, which was truncated, if you recall, due to lightning in the area. We didn't get to the 50% mark in that race, and so only half points were awarded, which leaves us with some funky arithmetic trying to calculate these points going into the final couple of weekends, with half points in some instances on offer.
Yeah, and if you reflect back to that, it was not a great situation to finish the race under red, because Robbie Foley and Rothberg, they have to serve a 5-second longer pit stop, so that was added to their eventual race time and dropped them down the order. Then the salve in the wound was the fact that it was only half points, so that minimized the damage, so to speak.
Yeah, but it turned what would have been a runner-up finish, or at least they were running second, into a 7th in race 1. You're right, though, to have it come at half points, that was something of a reprieve, but even still costly. They battled back to a 2nd place finish on Sunday at Elkhart Lake and come in with a 31-point advantage in Pro-Am. Justin's been on track already today. He's one of a number of these drivers that takes part in the GT America single driver sprint race as well. Part of the warm-up act. Get in the groove. Field under the control of the safety car while Ross Schwest's stricken car is attended to. And the track safety crew out on track as well.
Key right now for the drivers is not just to fall asleep, so to speak, in terms of you've got to keep those tires clean. You can see Todd Coleman then really weaving the car around vigorously to try and keep them cleaned off.
Leader in the AM class is Scott Dollarhide. His co-driver the last handful of weekends is Eric Powell, and Eric is with Amanda.
And Eric was ingrained into that team in that turnaround in Charlotte that you guys were documenting to get this Mustang back on track as we see in competition today. And Eric, when you think of moments like that as a team and sharing hours like that together, how much closer is this operation now?
Yeah, I mean, this is such an amazing team. Everyone, from the moment I joined the team, everybody works together so well, and they're all from the same area, have known each other for a long time. So, I mean, it definitely brought me closer, you know, giving me the opportunity to go and help these guys. And, I mean, the help I can offer is limited, but I did my best. I was there most of the time, other than when I had to go racing another series on one of the weekends. But, yeah.
Team morale is what you call that, being a part of. And Eric, when you being with this operation now, where have you seen your evolution from VIR to now?
I mean, we're making progress with this car all the time. The new car just has been flawless since we put it on the track, and I mean, I don't know if it's any better than the old car. I've heard some people say that, but yeah, I mean, even this weekend, just super solid.
Have you heard anyone say anything to you this weekend about Ford versus Ferrari?
Yeah, we keep hearing that over and over again. I mean, classic story. It's playing out right here, so it's fun. Those guys are doing a good job, but we're focused on ourselves, and I know that if we maximize and do everything to our best ability, that we'll come out on top.
All right, Eric, we'll see you with helmet on soon.
Thank you.
Well, the fact they're even in the championship conversation is only because of a big assist from Turner Motorsport, because the chassis that they damaged at Road America, that was in race 1. There was no way it was getting on track, well, maybe ever again, but certainly not for race 2 the next day. And Turner Motorsport offered up their spare chassis, the GT America chassis, for them to at least turn a few laps so they could score some points and keep them in the hunt, because as long as they did a formation lap effectively, then they would at least score second place points. Otherwise, it would have been 0.
Yeah, and I saw Bill Dollarhide at lunchtime, and he reflected on that, just saying what an amazing piece of sportsmanship from Justin Rothberg and his father to loan their car to them and keep them in this championship, because if they had lost those 18 points, it would be a bit of a blowout and hard to come back and compete for the championship at Indy. So it's kept their title hopes alive. They got that brand new race car. Rick said, I'm not sure it's better. Well, other members of the team think it is a little bit better, but either way, they've been fast here this weekend. It's evolving. They seem to get stronger every step of the way, and it's going to be an exciting championship. I mean, not too many entries in AM, of course, but it's still a good little battle to focus on.
What's interesting and exciting about it is the two are pretty close together on pace potential, it would seem. It would be one thing if they were separated from one another, but it seems like they find each other weekend after weekend.
There's Matt Bell and his teammate Blake McDonald coming off that great victory at Road America, the 3rd of the year. It's the first time that Blake McDonald was the finishing driver, however, so that has to be a little bit different, seeing that checkered flag fly versus watching from the sidelines. But super competitive. DXDT, as we know, just got a handle on this race car so quickly last year. Alec Udell, Tommy Milner went on a tear when they debuted that mid-season last year. They won 8 races, I think, heading into Indy. Definitely a threat for the championship despite missing the first 2 events, and they continue to roll this season with the new entry for Bell and McDonald.
If not for a difficult season opener at Sonoma, they finished 12th and 10th, so just 1 point coming out of that first weekend. They've been on the podium in class every single race since then. Yeah, and they've been really quick. There's another car that's really come alive here. It seemed to be a kind of a tough return to U.S. racing for Darren Turner early in the season. Got involved in a lot of argy-bargy, but he and Gray Newell have really put together a tremendous run. 3 podiums from the last 4 races over the last 2 doubleheader weekends. So they're feeling it. There's Darren, multiple Le Mans winner, and just a great sounding board for Gray Newell. Ian James, who's the team principal, not here this weekend. He's competing at COTA in the World Endurance Championship. Just said Darren is just a great mentor for Gray. He said, Roman Diallo did a great job, had speed, but I think for Gray, looking up to someone who has that experience, he said it's a different dynamic, and I think Gray's really responding to that, having Darren on the team this year. Well, 3 podiums in the last 4 races would indicate, yes, they've turned a corner, and Gray's been a big part of that, of course, taking a step with the nurturing hand of Darren Turner, steering the ship to some degree, and Yeah, Ian James can't be here. He's awfully busy racing and also managing the team, which is pulling double duty across races in the World Endurance Championship and Circuit of the Americas, running, of course, the Valkyrie, a couple of hypercars over there, plus an effort in what's there known as LMGT3. And then they've got this program here in GT World Challenge America, as well as the program as well in GT4 America. So an extremely busy weekend for the Heart of Racing. Well, we see Jason Daskalos with that strong run up to 4th place in class. His teammate Isaac Sherman is with Amanda.
Yeah, Ryan and Isaac, we were detailing a little bit of the issues that you guys had in qualifying. Any word from Jason on how the car feels now?
The car feels pretty good. We're pushing a little bit. Sadly, we couldn't really do too much in qualifying, just kind of getting the car ready now, just because we had a throttle body to fix, so we have full power. But so far, it's looking pretty good.
Currently running in that P4 position, and we know what Jason is about on restarts. What are your anticipation as we get back to green?
I mean, I think he's going to push it. He's going to try to get past Rothberg, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. I think we have a good chance for a podium today, and we're just going to do our best.
Love that. Famous last words, right, Calvin Ryan? Jason's going to push it.
He's been known to do it, and he's done it with great success at championship caliber seasons in GT America over the past 3 years. Never quite was able to get the title, but has been in the running 3 straight seasons, and then makes the jump this year to GT World Challenge, joined by Isaac Sherman, who was the revelation of the year last year, winning the GT4 title in GT America. They both graduate to GT World Challenge, and with this little team, it's been super impressive the way they've gone up against some of the established powerhouse teams in North American sports car racing.
Yeah, I think there's a great marriage between these two drivers. It was Jason who really introduced Isaac to Rotec Racing last year. I think they combined running 2 different championships. It was at 19 victories between them. Jason was on the verge of an amazing championship run there. Unfortunately, had an incident. And the opening corners at Indy when the championship was really in the palm of his hand, but that was a devastating blow, a heartbreaking race for him. But he certainly showcased what he could do. But joined together, I spoke to Nick Short this morning. He just said, you know, we're not testing. It's hard to compete at this level. It's a very different level to GT America, and you got teams who are out there testing and got quality guys on board. So he said, I think if we're going to move up the grid, we just got to invest a little bit more, find some more partners to come on board and help us get to racetracks a little bit more often versus, you know, he compared it like the Philip Ellises of the world. They're running almost every weekend globally, and then you come out here and expect to compete. And these guys, Jason and Isaac, are running 7 times a year. Do you know what I mean? It's a totally different dynamic and really hard to compete when you're not doing the testing alongside your race program.
And yet they've been fixture in the top 5 and actually have a runner-up finish earlier this year. So punching above their weight as the green flag waves once again above Barber Motorsports Park after a delay. Here comes Philip Ellis again, who'll try and rebuild the lead like Sisyphus in his boulder. Just keeps on pushing it up the hill only for it to roll back down again. Maybe that's the last full course yellow of the day. Philip certainly would hope so.
Yeah, he's certainly hoping for that, and you could see there Kennan was ready to go, and Philip just took a different approach, weaving the car around a little bit longer before he hit the gas pedal there, coming on that front straightaway. All totally legit. Orblin there, the 3rd car in line, more white on that green and white car compared to the 99 car if you're trying to differentiate between the 2 Random Vandals machines. But he is playing the perfect foil here in terms of that wingman, keeping Mackay Stevens, who's closest to the 99 in the championship hunt behind him.
You know, Bill doesn't love being in that position where he can't just get his elbows out and fight the way he'd like to, but he's been in this game a long time, and he knows sometimes you have to look out for the overall goal of the team. And in the interview pre-race with Amanda, he seemed very willing to do exactly that.
Up a lot of that curb there on the turn into the left, and that's not ideal. I think you just want to trim that one a little bit, maybe attack the second one, otherwise it just throws you off. You're just waiting for the car to settle before you commit back to the power.
Well, damage to the nose for Mackay Stevens, so there has been a little contact here in the early going. Part of that distinctive Mercedes grille slightly ajar. Our right, driver's left.
That stint that Mackay put in at the end there to win that race at Road America, we had a late caution. We went back to green with just a 1-lap shootout. He felt the pressure from Sedgwick immediately up into turn 1, resisted that, but that allowed Kenton Cook to suddenly blaze down the inside and was all over him for the last half a lap, but he just resisted the challenge. That was an amazing victory, and I'm sure it's given him a lot of confidence as well. Not ideal. I spoke to the team this weekend. They said we were so mad that we went back to green flag racing, but ultimately Mackay pulled through, got the victory, and moving forward, I think it was a great thing for the operation as a whole.
Good for Mackay's confidence too. Test himself up against some of these top-level drivers. Just his first year in GT3 racing, and he's got a great benchmark within the team in Mikael Grenier to swap data with. And you can compare like for like. To some degree, you can compare yourself in these races as well to Philip Ellis, as he's the one starting the races in the 91, and that gives everybody a benchmark. No one quicker these days, I think it's safe to say, in one of these Mercedes-AMG GT3s than Philip Ellis just about anywhere on the planet.
Yeah, he is the ultimate benchmark, just knows how to make the car tick. They struggled in practice here yesterday, made some major setup changes to the car overnight, and it came out on form here this morning. So great teamwork to put their heads together, make some changes, roll the dice for quali. And Philip made it stick, as he always seems to do. Unbeaten, right, in qualifying so far this year.
So Nunez, we've seen him off track. We've seen him in the fights. He's gotten around Gray Newell, and he has now tracked down Jason Daskalos. So this becomes a battle for 4th and 5th. Daskalos, not an easy guy to pass, not an easy guy to rattle either. We've seen that over the years. Veteran in this paddock, back to Rally World Challenge, and maybe even a few names before that. Rarely did full seasons, but when he did turn up, he ran at the front.
Yeah, I think he's one of those drivers and personalities that he'll give you respect, but he's not just going to roll over for you, whatever your experience level, whatever your success and accolades are. It's like, I own a piece of this racetrack just as much as you do, so I'm not just going to open up the door and let you go through.
Already approaching the 1/3 mark of this race. 90 minutes scheduled time. Approaching the hour mark, hour to go that is.
12 minutes or so before the pit stop window effectively opens. 50-minute maximum drive time. Time on pit lane for the cars here today is 74 seconds minimum, so you add those two together, 51 minutes and 14 on the clock to go. Would be the first time you could hit pit lane and not delay coming off.
And the reason you add those times together is time spent on the pit lane does not count toward drive time. Ellis is flying right now. Just did the race's best lap and has followed it up with the best first sector of anybody on the subsequent lap. The lead is already nearly back to 2 seconds. And we've said it before, but this has to be fun for a driver of Philip Ellis's caliber. Rarely do you get the chance outside of qualifying to just put your head down and go. You don't have to think about conserving anything, but that is his job here at the start of race 1 on these weekends.
Yeah, it's like a 50-minute qualifying session.
Yeah.
Oh, he's made a mistake. Wow, that was a wild one. It's such a tricky corner. There's that little crest. We talked to Robbie Foley about it on our track preview. You come through turn 13 there, and it really gets light over the top, and he had both wheels in the dirt and just kept the hammer down.
Does it cost too much in terms of lap time? A little bit. Amazingly, he was still faster than Kenton Cook in that 3rd sector on that lap, in spite of this off. Let's look at it again.
Yeah, just so close to damaging the split. See the left front up in the air there. Car is completely sideways. You can see the steering input there to keep that car under control, but he probably just took it in his stride. Knowing Philip, it was probably a slight blip on his heart rate, no more, and just rock and roll forward.
He's right back on it. Just reset the best first sector. And 22 flat, 2/10 clear of anyone on this lap. Unbelievable.
Yeah, as I said, this is just hammer time. He'll be frustrated by the couple of cautions we've had so far. See how he tackles that corner again here. This is where he had the moment earlier. Just nips at that curb initially. It's more of that second one. You can see there's a little bit of counter steer halfway through the corner on the exit. just floating it up over the top. The high camera doesn't do justice to when you're low down. It's really almost a blind crest that you're going through turn 13, and you're doing that probably 4 or 5 times around this circuit.
That was his lead now, 2.7, make it 3 seconds over Kenton Cook. Bill Auberland still running a solid third. Mackay Stevens has dropped off a little bit, as has Sedgwick, who was looking threatening early on. Then we get back to the Pro-Am battle. Battle as it is in the championship, it is on track. McDonald and Rothberg, second and third, but leading on their strategy. Then Daskalos and Nunez. This battle's not gone anywhere either. Really good recovery from Nunez after he had the off on the opening lap.
Yeah, and thinking about this yellow here, it doesn't really help the 29 squad because we mentioned it earlier, they do have to sit still on pit lane 5 seconds longer, and right now, if everyone did equal pit stops, that would drop them 3 positions. So they'd like to have got those cushions, those buffers built, and they've been erased a couple of times, and that makes it really tough when you all come in pit lane.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Right now, Rothberg has a decent buffer, 2.5 seconds. Back to the next car in class, but that does leave him vulnerable. It's a little bit more than that, though. There's, what, 4 cars covered in that 5 seconds or thereabouts. Now it's a moving target anyway. We'll look at that when we get closer to the window. We watch here, Jay Schreibman having maybe his best drive of the season, to my mind. Right
Absolutely.
There, hanging real tough.
This is great. He's just really hitting his marks. Wasn't 100% mid part of the season, but now he's feeling it, and just as you said, this is his best drive. This is really super competitive, exactly what he needs to be doing. You know, he said 3 seconds is his gauge. He needs to be within 3 seconds of Oz Negri, and right now, look at his lap times. He'd be right there, maybe within 2, so this is a really solid run. What does Osner have to say about it, Amanda?
Well, as you see, I'm putting his race sock on as we get ready for this driver change over here. I know, keep getting ready, you're fine, Oz. But racing in the AM category is the legendary Oz Negri, and we already heard from the Ford side of this battle, but how can your veteran experience help with the Ferrari's feat the day?
I didn't expect to be working as hard as I am at my age, at this stage of my career, but I'm super, super impressed with Jay of his improvement and the job he's doing out there.
You make it look easy.
Not really.
61 years young, Oz Negri, 1990 Brazilian F3 champion.
Yeah, he's just a quality guy. Just so much success over the years, particularly at the endurance level. Just a great career. Spent many years with Mike Shank Racing, now known as Meyer Shank Racing, that competes in sports car racing as well as the IndyCar Championship. But he's one of the best. Just fun guy, you know, and he's a great person with Jay Schreibman to really learn the ropes with.
Famously won the 2012 24 Hours of Daytona for Michael Shank, and that would have been John Pugh, AJ Allmendinger, and Justin Wilson, late and lamented, as the driving lineup there. That was as popular of a win, I think, for those that didn't win as any in that era.
Was that the 50th celebration of the Rolex?
Say that again?
Was that the 50-year celebration of the Rolex then?
Ooh, you put me on the spot. I don't remember, to be honest with you, but that does ring a bell. Doesn't mean it's true.
Good little battle here. Todd Coleman has recovered nicely. Saw Washington make that move on him, but Dollarhigh's keeping him honest here.
Venturing off into the unknown slightly, real quick to double back on the Justin Wilson. I'm told he is the inaugural Formula Palmer Audi champion, and his runner-up may or may not have been Darren Turner, but that's what Richard Hay tells me, so I'm going to say it with confidence.
Love it.
Here's the connection to bring us back to what we're doing here.
This is such a fun track. Just got to hit your marks. You got to set up every corner perfectly, otherwise you're going to run into trouble, because there's always a corner following it really, really quickly. Down the hill here, you got to get over to the right, set up this final run on the front straightaway, get that maximum radius, get your hands straight and steering and put out of the race car to just get that power down at those rear wheels.
Back to the front of the field. Fastest lap belongs to Philip Ellis. 4.1 seconds the gap over Kenton Cook, but maybe more importantly, let's measure the gap to Blake McDonald, who is second in Pro-Am. 16.2 seconds. That is not a gap I think Jeff Burton would feel comfortable with.
Looking at the time on the clock here, about 4 minutes away from when the pit window opens. 51.14 on the board. Left in the race is the earliest anyone could come and be right on the number of 74 seconds for your minimum pit stop time and not delay anything by having to sit still a little bit longer. So you'd expect the pros like Philip Ellis and everyone else to stay out as long. They're going to maximize the 50 minutes on the front end, but for anyone who's got an AM starting their race, they want to get their pro on board and maximize their speed as quickly as possible. So that's why Oz Negri, for example, was getting suited and booted and ready to go.
Yeah, I figure the pit lane will be busy pretty soon. As soon as that window opens up, a good chunk of the field will come in at the first opportunity. Philip Ellis, though, will do the opposite and try and extend that gap as best as he can. Like McDonald doing a great job, though, leading on his strategy. Rothberg trying to keep him honest, not too terribly far behind.
I'm curious to what Turner does here, because ideally you'd want to get Rothberg in and get Foley behind the wheel, but you may like to keep him out a little bit longer to try and keep that get that 5-second margin there.
That's a good point. Keep an eye on it. On board now with Kenton Cook, leads in pro, second overall.
There you can see it more from the onboard, the little crest as you come up over the top there. That's where Ellis almost lost control 5-10 minutes ago.
That sequence there feels like it goes on forever. Talk about a load into the left side tires, particularly left front in one of these front engine cars.
Yeah, and watch Robbie Foley talk about that kind of a blind entry. You tip in without really seeing the apex. You've already committed, so then you got the compression in the uphill into turn 2, but it's a bit too late to really save you if you've overcommitted on speed through the apex.
Another sequence
Crest of the hill there.
Hear him committed to throttle ever long before he could ever see the exit of the corner.
Di Filippi, a wedding ring on his finger since the last time he raced.
Congratulations to the newlyweds.
Shows it to us nicely there. Congratulations to he and his bride over in Italy. A fancy do. I didn't get an invite, did you?
I did not.
No. A few racers were there in attendance, so some familiar faces.
There's a look at the ring. Connor about to go to work. Long-time BMW factory pilot. He's found a nice home for himself with Random Vandals. Ran the Indy 8-hour with the team last year. Has been full season alongside Kenton Cook. Just proven to be such a dynamic pairing here in 2025. A little too soon for the pit stops. We're getting close.
Yeah, and expect a lot of the leaders here to stay out. Ellis certainly will. Kenton may like to stay out there, even though Connor's had tremendous pace here this weekend. Oberlin should stay out. Mackay and Mikael, they could possibly be one of the earlier pit stoppers here just to protect it. The difficulty also is if there should be a yellow during what we call the quote window, the opportunity to pit and be within all of the regulations. You're on pit lane for about 74 seconds, and a lap time here is not a lot more than that. You're looking at 81-second laps, do you know what I mean? So you need to be within kind of 7-8 seconds of the leaders to not go down a lap. So that factors into the strategy a little bit, as we saw in the Pirelli GT4 race here yesterday. That had some consequences.
Certainly did. Threw a lot of teams, and quite frankly, us as well, for a bit of a loop. Typically, the early pit stop is the safe option. But with the relatively short lap here, and with the length of time you are required to spend on the pit lane, some of that gets reversed. Think of it like a difference in oval racing. a short oval versus a big oval, kind of how the strategy is inverted. And now we have our first big caller as Alex Sedgwick comes in, and he brings Blake McDonald and Justin Rothberg with him.
So Rothberg and the Turner Motorsport Group elect to do the undercut, so to speak, get Foley in as quickly as possible. See if anyone follows Rothberg down pit lane, and if that minimum pit stop time is going to affect the order as they leave pit lane.
This is the RS1 team going to work. Really excited about the lineup they have for the Indy 8 Hour. Not my news to announce, but I feel like they're going to have a really good chance to fight with some of the international teams that inevitably will come over. Washington's stint is done. Did a really nice job once again, as he did this morning. And now keep an eye on this car. Do not forget about the 32, because his teammate Tom Sargent has been super quick all weekend.
Yeah, really quick. He's a bit late getting in the car there. I'm not sure what that was all about, but you should have plenty of time here to get things done. Gives you a little bit of a fudge factor of about probably 5 to 10 seconds with the fuel going on board. Foley is released. Now he's got to go chase down that DXD Corvette immediately in front of him as they leave pit lane. Ryan's looking over the data here to see how everyone fared in terms of being close to that minimum stop time. It's 74 seconds for everyone other than the 29 car, which is 79 seconds minimum time.
And they hit it within a half a second. Slight delay, it looks like, for DXDT. They were a couple of seconds over the minimum. It's safe, but the advantage that they could potentially gain to Turner with the penalty to the Turner car was mitigated somewhat by that.
Yeah, that was good news for Foley and company. Tielet's out there. He's been flying here this weekend. Osnegri goes to work. Going to try and chase down Eric Powell now aboard the number 6 Dollar Height Racing Mustang GT3 machine.
Tell you what, the GMG stop was a little bit on the slow side also, and so was the Osnegri Jay Schreiben stop. That one was significantly over the minimum.
Yeah, I thought Tom was late getting in when we were on board with the car there, and Washington jumped out, and it's like, where's his co-driver? He hadn't gone for a sandwich or something. Kenton's in. See if they pit Oberlin on the same lap. Okay, I would imagine they'd keep Bill out a little bit longer into the full 50-minute potential maximum drive time. We're just crawling down here. Feels like an eternity. Here comes Dasclos, he's in. Nunez stays out, as you'd anticipate, being the faster of the two drivers in that blue Ferrari.
So does Gray Newell, interestingly enough. Live Racing must feel good about Gray's pace to keep him out longer than they absolutely have to. It's a great vote of confidence. Random Vandal so close to their first ever GT3 win here last year, remember. It's that issue with the fueling that cost them what looked like a surefire win.
A couple of slight delays there on the wheel gun and on the right front for the 99. Looked like that was in the reverse position, and also a bit of a delay getting the right rear on, but it shouldn't affect anything here. Normally, as they say, you've got a few seconds left. They certainly ain't close to that number. Paul Sparta there celebrating a big win in the M-Class Pirelli GT4 yesterday. His first, so he claps the team, and big win weekend potentially. They had 2 class victories yesterday with Kevin Boehm and Kenton Cook winning in the silver class.
They were runner-up in Pro-Am also, so they had quite a haul of trophies, and looking to cap it off with a couple good results here in GT World Challenge America as well. Really good pit work from all those that have just been in the pit lane, right around the minimum.
Here comes Oberlin. Doesn't roll the dice too far. Likes to pit right now because the yellow could really scupper their chances. They really need to get him out ahead of the number 34 car. So Grenier's going to be on hammer time right now aboard the JMF number 34. See if he can eat into that gap that Oberlin has as he hits pit lane. Brunchoxi's been pretty quick here this weekend and only a few tenths off of his more experienced teammate here.
All the while, Ellis and Nunez continue to push, and extend their opening stint on the alternate strategy.
Sticker tires going on, as you can see.
Here comes Grenier on the outlap. This is so important. Harder these days than it used to be when we had tire warmers as part of the regulations. Those are gone.
You can hear the 51 car leaving the pit box, so he's going to come out. Is he going to? I think he's going to be ahead of Grenier, but Grenier's got tire temperature, and he's going to be on the wheel, up on the wheel, big time here. Oh, a little twitch by Grenier, trying to get it turned into turn one. You could see that. He knew that it was close, and he was pushing extra hard on relatively cold tires still. Now Choxy, he doesn't have any tire temperature. Grenier's going to eat into this gap immediately over the next couple of corners, but it's tough to pass around here.
Oh, Choxy, you could tell he was doing his best, but that car's not quite in the window just yet. On the other hand, Mikael Grenier absolutely has the temperature. He chucked it into turn one, had a great pitch and catch moment. Now he's got the BMW in his crosshairs. This is for position with the RS1 Porsche, very much an interested spectator lurking in the background.
Choxy needed a good exit here. Get another half lap. The true legitimate passing opportunity around this racetrack is in turn 5. So if Choxy can hang on, get that tire temperature built. No, the BMW has good straightaway speed. He did a good job here. This is where he's going to be vulnerable. Through this next corner, through turn 13, he needs to nail this. Not give Grenier the opportunity. Grenier's got to run. He's got to protect here. Watch Grenier through these next couple of corners. He's got to feel this is his opportunity. Halen's right there as well, putting the pressure on the Mercedes. Sticks it down the inside. Elbows him out. Halen's going to have a run as well on Choxy on the front straightaway.
Grenier knew it was his chance. He wasn't going to wait around for another. Shoved it up the inside. It took the position away from Choxy, who fights back now, trying to get the spot back into one. It opens up the door for Halen to take a peek around the outside of the Belgian. Very aggressive, trying to get to the flank of the BMW, but can't quite make it stick.
Choxy did a great job. Just elbows were out there by Mikael Grenier. He knew he had to pounce. So important in this championship chase. Halen looks to the inside. Choxy's now going to have good tire temperature. He's got a lap and a half on these now. He's going to be much tougher to pass.
But maybe not in his rhythm just yet, unlike the two pros around him. That's the challenge here for Varun, the much less experienced driver of this trio. Only his second year of GT3 racing, up against a factory ace like Grenier and a seasoned veteran like Halen.
He did a good job here. He's on it. Got the power down really well out of turn 9. Out of museum. See the hands moving there. Wow, he had a big twitch. This is cool stuff. All of these drivers absolutely on the limit.
That move effectively for second place in the pro class. And that was very, very aggressive. Watch this. Grenier to the inside. Halen thought about making it 3 wide, then backed out of it, trying to time up the run. How about it? Grenier got up all the way alongside. Yes, there was some door-to-door contact. How do you view it?
I think it's just a racing incident. You got to let the boys go racing here. And I think for Choxy, it's such a difficult area of the racetrack, Ryan, to defend on, because if you totally protect, you're so slow coming on this front straightaway, it'd have been pounced on anyway. So damned if you do, damned if you don't in that scenario.
Well, huge move there for JMF. Now he has the chance to try and reel in Connor DeFilippi. The car he's chasing in the race, the car they're chasing in the championship as well. Getting to the end of that de facto pit window here. Up against it, Philip Ellis and Diego Nunez. Last two that still owe us pit stops. Ellis continues to turn in really quick laps, even on the old tires. He's running 22s, low 22s, whereas even Connor DeFilippi is running up at the high 22s, so that's amazing, the amount of pace that's still in this Mercedes, and he's not ready to come in just yet. As we look at race vision powered by AWS, circuit performance dominated by number 91, Philip Ellis.
Yeah, he's got to come in this next lap, though, whether he's going to be outside of the maximum drive time of 50 minutes. As you can see, just 41.20 plus on the board, so he'll be in this next lap.
Does have some traffic, which could hamper him a little bit. That is the third place overall car. Of course, we talked about how much ground you lose, how close you come to losing a lap when you pit here at this track, as short as it is.
Nunez is going to have to come this lap. He doesn't have the ability to get back around for another one, so he'll fire into pit lane now.
And of course, up on top of the strategy as ever, called the Brazilian in, making his series debut, and he'll turn over to Marcelo Hahn.
It's a lively stint. Made that bold move on Blake McDonald on the opening lap here. Got a little bit wrong, but I'm sure he enjoyed that. This is a fun racetrack to drive on. He made some moves, and good stint for him.
Definitely. The team has been pretty fun this year as well. The drivers that we've seen alongside Marcelo Hahn, his son Christian most recently, and Alam Kodair early in the season in particular was really fast. And here comes Ellis up against it on the clock.
He's really up against it. Look at it. It's right now. Where's the stripe? Where's the stripe coming around this final corner, I think? Maybe it's at the top of the hill. Maybe I'm mistaken there. I think the stripe is at the top of the hill. So he was good. But right to the wire. Something significant looking at the positioning here. Foley's got a round bell here somewhere over the last couple of laps. That's huge in the championship.
No kidding. We'll try and get to the bottom of that in just a moment. Out jumps Philip Ellis. In comes
keeping
Jeff
the tires
Burton.
on. Look at this. They're keeping the tires on. So we talk about tire deg around this racetrack. How amazing is this that the Pirellis are going to 90 minutes straight? Just don't want Jeff Burton to deal with cold tires and getting them up to speed.
We saw them do this at Sonoma at the
qualifying.
very beginning of and then the race.
Did they? Okay.
And it did not work. It did not.
That's right. Yeah,
Jeff didn't have anything to fight with.
Yeah.
So interesting. They feel like it could be the winning play here today. Maybe their hands forced a little bit because of the yellow, but the hope is that there's less warm-up time and Jeff could be right on the pace immediately. I'll tell you this. I mean, Ellis was doing lap times. His last lap was a 22.2. That's about what all the front runners are doing at the moment. Now they're creeping into the 21s again, but that was, you know, on a set of tires that had gone nearly an hour.
Foley's not only got a round bell, he's taken off on him. 4 seconds to the good right now. This is huge for their championship. Came into this weekend 31 points ahead. Knew that if Matt Bell and Blake McDonald could eat into that, it was going to make Indianapolis really tight, but this is massive. Second in class right now. He's going to try and chase down Jeff Burton here over the remaining 38 minutes in this race. Could be a pivotal day in the championship fight.
Robbie Foley, who gave us our track tour on our track preview at the pre-race show, has turned into a top-line pro under the auspices of Turner Motorsport, and now helping to bring along Justin Rothberg, winning a title last year. They've come back to defend it. It's been a really good season for the entire team.
Really curious to know if Matt Bell had a problem, fell off the road or whatever, because he left pit lane. We know that he ate into that gap. They ate into that gap a little bit with a tardy pit stop, but nonetheless, he should have been 3 or 4 seconds to the good on Foley, and suddenly he's 4 seconds back. So that's a monster amount of time, delta, to be just in sheer lap time here. So I wonder if he had a moment, and that's how he lost that position. So easy to run off here and lose a few seconds here when you're totally committed here at Barber.
Jeff Burton now behind the wheel, still leads this race overall. They've won a couple races overall this year using the alternate strategy. They've also won a race just in class. We're 3 victories on the season, and we're in with the shout of the Pro-Am Championship going into the weekend at VIR, I think it was, when things kind of went sideways for them. But it has been a strong campaign once again. And I guess tomorrow we'll probably have to say goodbye to this alternate strategy, right? With the 90-minute race format going away next year, and I don't expect it really plays a part in the Indy 8 Hour at the culmination of the season. So something they pioneered and proven is a viable option, but time is ticking on that as a potential outcome.
Yeah, because Focus 4, we don't have the regulation template for these 3-hour races, but we anticipate it being a 4-stint race with 2 drivers. You'd always want your pro to be finishing, so it makes no sense to be starting your pro and him doing the 3rd or 4th stints and your AM driver finishing. So I think you're right. I'd be locking in the AMs, kind of doing that opening salvo, I would believe.
Remember when we said not to forget about the 32? Here comes Thomas Sargent on board now with the Aussie. In the crosshairs is Isaac Sherman, fighting for 5th and 6th.
See how much the drivers are working their hands. You look from the outside, the car looks very stable, but there's constant, minute adjustments being made to keep these cars firing in the right direction. Really cool to watch from the onboards. Just shows you so much how on edge these cars are all of the time.
We mentioned that Robbie Foley had found his way by Matt Bell, and I think we might have a solution to the mystery. And as expected, Cal, down into turn 5.
Well, Foley talked about the fact that he loves this outside lane here. He gets the grip, then he does the crossover and gets to the inside of Matt Bell. Then it's going to be a dyno run down in that next corner, and typically the BMW is a little bit stronger, but after making the move, he is just taken off here. I would say this is a little bit of a surprise because the Corvette also got a mid-weekend BOP adjustment, a little bit lighter, so I thought that could give them the edge here, but Foley's got the job done. His job right now is to try and chase down Jeff Burton. He's 29 seconds back with 35 minutes to work with.
Jeff's just starting to get into the rhythm. The last lap was not a great one. 1:26.6. Compare that to a 22.4 from Foley.
I think Foley's got the margin if we stay green. Finish the race under green. He's got plenty of pace here to get the job done.
Burton across the line now. Was this lap any quicker? Only marginally. 26 flat.
Yeah, that's not going to get it done. You're looking at a 3.5 second delta there compared to Foley. So what do we say? He's 28. Yeah, that's going to about 7 or 8 laps is all it's going to take to eliminate that margin.
Plus, Jeff Burton is going to have to contend with the Pro Class leaders coming through. On board now with Connor DeFilippi, who before too much longer will be there. And that will not help Jeff Burton's lap times at all.
DeFilippi, one of the multiple BMW factory drivers in this race. Bill Overland, Robbie Foley. We mentioned Connor celebrated his wedding to Brooklyn just a week ago and got back on the plane and back to his day job.
Where he's most comfortable, fighting for the overall lead of the race. He has run down Jeff Burton. Now he's got to find a way by. Jeff won't go out of his way to make this easy, of course. Don't want this to happen at a time and place of his choosing, if at all possible. DeFilippi, though, chucks it up the inside and grabs the overall lead of the race away. So Random Vandals to the fore with 33 minutes to go.
Yeah, Mikel Grenier, you'd see him there in the drop, backdrop. Sits about 4 seconds back of Connor right now, so it's still going to be a fierce battle. We'll look closely now as Connor's got clean air on the front end of that BMW, see how they compare with lap times. Being in that traffic there cost Connor about 1.5 seconds to get by Burton compared to Grenier's last lap, so that certainly eats into that gap that he had a little bit.
Back to the battle here between Sargent, who we're riding on board with, and Isaac Sherman. Couple of up-and-comers here. Whoa, this is close. Looking to the inside.
Well, he heard some contact, but they seem to be apart at this point of the corner.
It's not done yet. Still side by side down the front straightaway, and the Mercedes appears to pull even. Will they try and make it work to abreast? Yes, they will. Sargent carries the speed around the outside and grabs the position.
That was nice. Then he runs wide up into turn 2 as he carried probably a mile or 2 extra miles an hour into the turning point. Had to wait on the front end to respond on that Porsche, but nicely judged.
Now keep an eye as well on that McLaren with Aaron Thielitz now in that car. They qualified, I think, in the top 2 rows for tomorrow's race, if memory serves. Aaron Thielitz has been super quick here this weekend. DeFilippi leads ahead of Burton. Now Jeff Scott, Mikel Grenier sizing him up next.
Burton's found some lap time. He's about 1 second quicker than he was 2 or 3 laps ago, so he's getting into his rhythm here. He's now running lap times in the low 25s compared to the chasing Foley. He's running mid 22s, so it's still 2.5 second delta. The gap between he and Foley right now is about 21 seconds, so that's going to take about 8 laps for Foley to erase that at the current rates.
Grenier looking a bit impatient here, quite frankly, and understandably so, trying to find a way past Jeff Burton. These two are on very different agendas. Look at Grenier weaving left and right, flashing the headlights, and give Burton credit, he's not deterred.
Grenier eats up a lot of curb there, and he's got Choxy not that far behind. Got to put the pressure on him. Easily flicks to the inside, trying to rattle Jeff Burton, but he's hanging tough. Hats off to Jeff Burton there. He's not going to walk over and let these people steam by. Has to give it up here. He's got to be careful how he judges this one now. Don't get into trouble here, Jeff. You got in the dirty air, and here comes Choxy with a big run.
Yep. Fires it to the inside and takes that position away. But now Jeff only has one more Pro Class car to contend with. If he can just get in that rhythm. Remember, he's also on the same tires that Philip started the race on. So he'll have to manage that too for the final 30 minutes. But they could be in a position for a decent result. If not a win, certainly a chance for a podium.
Look at Choxy. We talked about that Random Vandals 1-2. They desperately wanted to buffer those points a little bit between the 99, the championship leaders, and the 34 squad. Grenier's in second right now, but if Choxy could somehow make a move on this Mercedes, that would be massive for the whole squad.
They've only finished second once with this car. That's their best result of the year. Race 1 at Road America. Sister car, the championship leader, has had the edge all season long.
But, moment there for Choxy.
No kidding.
Coming off a turn 5-6 combination there. I think they've had a bit of a change in their engineering lineup there on this 51 squad as well this weekend, so to be confirmed. But yeah, I heard some rumblings about that. Didn't have a chance to clarify that with the team, but nonetheless, the car seems to be pretty quick here this week, and I know they've gone in separate setup directions with the race car compared to the 99, but both cars seem to have good pace. Choxy's done a great job here. Essentially his home track. He was just a couple hours away in Atlanta.
I was going to bring that up as well. This might as well be the home race, at least this year. Of course, Road Atlanta on the calendar, looking ahead to 2026. Not an easy drive, just a little bit west of Atlanta to find Birmingham, and just outside of Birmingham is where you find Barber Motorsports Park. Here's Jeff Burton once again with one of the Pro Class cars breathing down his neck. This time it's Jan Halen, but hey, look at that last lap from Jeff Burton. He's down into the high 24s. It wasn't long ago he was running mid-26s.
This is great. This is great. Really strong run. He's given it his all. Got to keep digging. Certainly Foley, I think, was in a shout of getting to him. Probably with about, I'd estimate, between the 18 and 20 minutes to go in this race. Foley should be with him, but he's got to keep digging. I think potentially there's a podium run. I anticipate Bell maybe getting to him as well. Big question mark is Turner and Sargent. Can they catch the 91 Lumber machine as well?
Still a lot to be determined here. 28 minutes to go in this race. 90 minutes of racing tomorrow. And the Indianapolis 8-hour to conclude the 2025 season next month. Part of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, of course, which brings with it a influx of international teams and drivers that have some interesting star power on the grid. A lot to look forward to there. And that is the finale for not just GT World Challenge America, but also for Intercontinental GT Challenge, which races next weekend. Its penultimate round in Suzuka, where our own Amanda Busick is headed once we get through our race tomorrow. So what's the gap from the lead to second? Well, we saw Jeff Burton come through. This is the car that's chasing. Robbie Foley steadily, lap after lap, getting that much closer with each tour of this 17-turn track.
Yeah, it's now 11 seconds. The gap there was 3.5 seconds on that lap as Jeff did a 26.1. We talked about him getting into the 24s. He's got to keep hitting those numbers if he's going to try and stay on this podium here today. 26s, I don't think is going to get it done. If he keeps it in the 24s, potential to keep Turner and Sargent at bay.
Sargent is the quickest up this bunch. He's just running the high 21s. It was the fastest lap of anybody on this last lap.
I think he's going to put on a show here tomorrow with much better starting position. Of course, I think he qualified, what, third overall for tomorrow?
Yep. That's my recollection. Just did the race's best first sector, did Thomas Sargent. He's about 7 seconds behind Darren Turner. That is for 4th and 5th. Shaping up to be a good lap.
This is fun to ride on board with him. You can see the challenges of this circuit, see the nuance with the subtleties. It's not the biggest. We run at tracks, got a lot more total elevation change, but 80, 90 feet here, but it's in some of the critical, like right there. It's where the road is totally blind to your positioning, has to be spot on.
I'm just blown away at how busy his hands are every time we watch him. So many small little micro corrections. It's really complicated technical layout.
Goes even quicker, 21.7. So
wow.
He is really on it right now, pushing hard. That was 1.2 seconds quicker than Darren Turner. Turner's only 6+ seconds up the road, so at that sort of pace within 5 laps, Sargent could be with him. Foley now 9 seconds back at the Pro-Am lead.
Chopped off another 2.5 seconds on the last lap, did Robbie Foley. 25 flat compared to a 22.5. There was Turner coming through. This is Sargent in the fight for 4th and 5th, and Sargent is getting closer and closer with each passing lap. DeFilippi leads overall, 5.5 seconds over Mick Grenier. Then it's Chauncey and Halen. Jeff Burton continues to lead in Pro-Am, 5th overall, but the lead is starting to dwindle, Amanda.
Yeah, I just stopped by and talked to Brian Sellers and the concentration of that team, looking at the live timing and counting numbers themselves. I went over to ask Brian his thoughts on how he sees this one unfolding, and they have their eyes on that heart of racing Aston Martin as well. Brian, quite frankly, just said we need Jeff running in those 124s like we saw a couple laps ago. They've asked him to pick it up.
And he has. He just ran a 24.8.
Yeah.
Only lost 2.2 seconds that lap to Robbie Foley. And even about the same, I suppose, to Matt Bell.
Yeah, I think Foley and Bell will get to him. I mean, to Amanda's point in the teams, I think Turner and Sargent, the two question marks in terms of whether they have enough time. And there's a huge difference between running those low 26s and the high 24s, and that's why Burton has to stay focused here.
A year ago, he and Ellis paired to finish 3rd in the championship, a couple of wins, 7 podiums. They're having that kind of year and then some this year. Those 3 wins, they were runner-up in both races at Sebring. 3rd in points again coming into this weekend, 48.5 out of the championship lead.
That was a really nice sequence of corners there. He seemed to be hitting his marks perfectly, Ryan, on this lap. This 3rd sector at least. See what the lap time is. Did a 24.8 last time by. 25.0. It's right within the pocket where they want to be, but you see Foley and Bell getting ever closer. Foley now only 4 seconds back.
At this rate, he'll be there in 2 laps, less than 2. Probably consistently taking 2.5 seconds out of Jeff Burton's lead. But the discipline it takes for Jeff to be out there, not amongst his peers, but with all the pros, just keep his head down and go to work, not make the crucial mistake that could cost them dearly. That's been the big step for him this year. We've seen him handle the pressure consistently in a way that really wasn't the case consistently over the previous seasons.
Bell now sits 4+ seconds back of Foley, but he just ran a lap time a couple of tenths quicker, so this isn't over for Foley. He certainly can see the leader here, and he should be able to take care of the business on that way, but he's got to keep the hammer down. There's still 22 minutes left on the board, and if that Corvette has got good long green flag pace, he could certainly eat into that 4-second margin pretty quickly.
Haven't touched on the AM class battle in a while, but Eric Powell with a firm grip of that lead in class. It's a slow stop, I think, for the AF Corsa crew, which did not help their cause, and so Oz Negri's a little bit down the order. Here is Eric, though. And this would be the result they need to stay in the hunt for the AM class title.
Yeah, 10.5 points out of the lead right now. They cut into that by 7, so it would be 3.5 points heading into tomorrow. And if they could repeat, they'd come out of it with a 3.5 point lead. So that's how tight it is.
And with double points on offer in what becomes effectively a winner-take-all finale, and Jeff Burton has cracked under the pressure here. That's Foley that is through. Here comes Bell next to take a shot, but the lead has changed in Pro-Am. Robbie Foley has taken Turner to the top of the field.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Foley was in the frame when Burton had his moment there, or whether it already cleared him or not.
Jeff trying to get back in the rhythm, but he's got a mirror full of the DXDT Racing Corvette. Matt Bell sizing him up.
Turner's 9 seconds back of Burton, which is going to be that fight for the podium. And Sargent's only 3 seconds back now of Turner, so Sargent is rapidly closing on the heart of racing Aston Martin for P4, which could be a battle for the podium at the end of the day.
Bell needs to get this move made if he's going to have any chance of running down Robbie Foley in the final 20 minutes of this race. Burton gets a pretty good run out of the final corner, and opportunity just not there for Matt to make a lunge.
You can't run over the top of the guy in front of you. Just got to try and set him up. You've got to be careful at the same time. If he has contact, gets taken out, that would be a devastating blow to their championship hopes, which at the moment are not looking as great after the win at Road America coming in this weekend. I'm sure they're hoping to try and sweep the weekend here and trying to raise as many of those points deficit they were in. But right now they're losing. Probably going to be 7 points to Foley and Rothberg here this opening round of the weekend. Oh, moment for Burton. He's in trouble here. That was really bizarre. Just kind of lost it under braking there. He's got too much rear brake bias in that car. May want to make a slight adjustment there. And you talked about it earlier. He's on those tires that have really done a lot of work right now.
Yeah, we saw them try this at Sonoma. And at first it seemed like it was perhaps a stroke of genius, but towards the end of the stint, asking a set of racing tires to go 90 minutes is that's a tall task. So you do wonder if Jeff might be laboring a little bit now. He also has a bunch of grass up there in the grill.
Sure, there's enough there to really create any overheating issue. Let's take a look at a couple of replays here with Jeff Burton in terms of how Foley got by him. So this is down in turn 5. You can see Burton a little bit wide there. Foley's really nowhere near him. Jeff is just going for a ride by himself, just missed his marks a little bit. Then a lap or so later, it was on the approach to the next corner, turn 8. Let's take a look at this where Matt Bell took advantage as well. So again, we talk about the tires being past their best. That was quite bizarre there. To have that much rotation there on the entry at the corner.
Yeah, very strange. Check Jeff's pace. More or less back on his rhythm here to start this lap, but looming very quickly. Darren Turner, Tom Sargent, they are reeling him in hand over fist.
Yeah, we talk about harder racing. 3 podiums at the last 4 races. They're going to try and extend that streak, go for 4 out of 5. But I think Tom Sargent's going to have something to say about it. He's been absolutely flying here this weekend. Topped both practice sessions here yesterday. Has come from deep in the pack. This is an excellent run for GMG.
Let's give Kyle Washington a call as well. He set the table for this, had a strong stint himself at the very beginning of the race. Kyle may be back in his form again after a little slump coming out of the summer break. Always great to have a resource like Tom Sargent to hand the car over to a real ace.
See Jeff there really pushing. Probably looking for lap time in the wrong place. You can see it really twitchy up over the crest of the hill, try to leave his braking a little bit late there into turn 1. But again, he's dealing with those tires that now have, what, 73 minutes on them? That's crazy.
It is really interesting. They elected to try that again. Sonoma, after the repave, hasn't been as abrasive, certainly as it used to be, but even compared to some of the other surfaces here, though, tire wear had been a topic of concern. Now, the Mercedes has been known to be pretty good on its tires historically, and I guess they're leaning on that here at Barber, but it's about to be trouble time for Jeff Burton, because here comes Turner, and along with him is Tom Sargent.
Yeah, Sargent can smell that podium right now.
How do you play this if you're Tom?
Well, he's got plenty of time. I mean, you never know. There can be a yellow incident, so you can't afford to wait around. You can get caught out by that. Suddenly, someone sends it in the fence, and there's not much time left on the clock if we should get back. Oh, it's really tight there. Big compression there. Turner's got to be really careful. He's got to use all of his experience here to just really fire off this corner, get a run down into turn 1. But Burton gets a good run there as well, so I think maybe Darren underestimated Burton's speed there. Oh, it's really tight. He's sideways and loses it. He gets squeezed a little bit. Sargent just misses him. You saw Darren kind of back off through that final corner, turn 17, to get a run, but Jeff gets through there pretty good, and he came from a long way back and just got squeezed, and you're on the brakes, just pinned the nose, and he loses the rear end of the car.
Costs Darren Turner just one position, but a lot of position, track position-wise, on the time lost. Let's take a look at this again. Now, these are two cars in the same class battling for position here, Cal.
Yeah, Darren comes from a long way back, and Jeff wasn't giving him any room. He doesn't have to. I mean, I don't think Darren had really established himself there completely alongside, so committed from a long way back, and now Sargent has got through Darren Turner. He's now got to go to work, see what he can do to get by Jeff Burton. So Burton's still in that podium spot.
Yeah.
He's hanging tough.
Yeah, it is under review. That incident we just saw, under review from race control with 15 minutes to go. Foley leads in class ahead of Bell. Then it's Jeff Burton right here, but Tom Sargent is giving chase and has been one of, if not the fastest driver on the track over the last 15 minutes.
I think that whole dynamic was set up through turn 17. Looked to me like Darren really backed up to try and launch off and kind of didn't quite judge it perfectly, that he thought he was just going to get an easy run down into turn 1, and he committed like in his mind that he was going to make that move. And Jeff, as we've seen before, gets pretty feisty. He's just not going to open up the door for you, and he's going to go for that apex. So I'd say 50-50 on whether he gets a call in terms of incident responsibility.
Comes Sargent up the hill, looking to the inside of Burton, but not close enough. Jeff does leave the door open to the inside, and can Sargent pounce? Can he push his way through? Oh, it's not done yet. Burton to the inside of the Mercedes. Here comes Sargent around the outside in the Porsche. Will he try and make it too wide? No.
That is awesome stuff from Jeff Burton. I'm loving this. This is great. Digging deep. I'm sure he's getting inspiration from his radio and his team right now in terms of keep digging, Jeff. Don't give it to him.
This is for a chance to spray some champagne, as TJ Clark likes to say. And Jeff desperately would love to grab another podium finish, but he's got to hang on. Here comes Sargent with a head full of steam. Looking outside, now to the inside, carving through the corner and taking the position away.
That was fun to watch.
Now put Sargent and Washington up to third in class. Jeff Burton, Philip Ellis back to fourth, and that still is under review. That's
Look at
the
Philip
team.
Ellis there.
Yeah.
He's got a big smile on his face. He loved that David Askew as well there in the backdrop.
Now, this strategy that they've been employing has breathed life, it seems like, into that side of that operation. Remember, this is, if not a sister team, then a cousin of DXDT Racing. They've run the Mercedes for a long time and never could quite get on top of it. Then Philip Ellis turned up, and that took them another step. Then they started employing these tactics a year ago, and all of a sudden they are a threat for podiums, a threat for wins.
Let's not forget here, we had those couple of yellows early in this race, and that really has had some consequence in terms of that gap being much different. If Philip Ellis had just had a green flag run here, uninterrupted, the gap that Jeff Burton would have to work with would have been much greater.
I'll tell you this too, Calvin, Darren Turner's troubles aren't done yet, because Aaron Thielitz a few laps ago got around Isaac Sherman and has been cutting some quick laps and appears to be closing in. Meanwhile, the ruling is in from race control. It's been reviewed, no action taken.
On the 20 versus 91 incident down in turn 1, yeah.
Your thoughts?
I agree with it. Yeah, I said 50-50. You could look at it either way. Jeff could have given him a little bit of racing room, but Darren, I think if he had a do-over, he wouldn't give up as much time through turn 17. He really backed off to just make sure he got the clean launch, but Jeff was getting through that corner pretty good. I think Darren had said, I got to go. I got pressure from behind with Sargent right there, and just came from probably half a car length too far back to make it legit.
Yep, looked like a racing incident. That's the way it has been ruled, so we race on. 11.5 minutes to go. One more look at it here, Cal. This is the run out of the final corner. Turner to the inside, but maybe a bit furtive. He's not totally committed until it's a bit too late.
He's just kind of committed down to the inside there. As I said, he was just half a car length too far back to make it. He nearly needed to tuck back in and just defend from Sargent and think about it again. But disappointing, but he was going for it. He's a racer, Darren. He's got a great personality, great character. And he'll be honest with himself. I'm sure he'll just go and shake Jeff's hand at the end of the day and just say, that was a tough battle, mate.
Yeah, don't think you can fault either driver, given the circumstances, what was at stake. Both of them went for it. Unfortunately, didn't end well for Darren Turner. No action taken.
Still digging deep here. He's, what, 5 seconds back of Jeff Burton here. He still wants to keep digging, try and score more points. Never know what happens up in front. Foley's got that margin by about 5 seconds over Matt Bell. We talk about the significance in the championship as well. Another 7 points over the 31-point lead that they had coming into this weekend.
And at this pace, Turner could yet catch Jeff Burton again. I suspect he will.
Yeah, that's what we're just talking about. It's only about 5 seconds here.
And he's bringing Aaron Telitz with him. Excited to see what Aaron can do at the start of the race tomorrow, starting up front. Seems like he and this car have been right at home around this track. Aaron would have raced here in Indy Lights, other junior open wheel formula over the years. So some high-powered, high downforce experience, especially in the Lights car. That'll help to some degree. This is not a track where a lot of the drivers have a huge notebook. I mean, we went about a decade between top-level sports car races at this venue. Then there's a few that have long memory banks, and they were racing here. I would suspect Oz Negri would be one.
Yes, certainly.
Nemo Gidley in GT America has been here.
Yeah, Negri certainly ran Daytona prototypes here many moons ago. Tell you what, Sargent's pace, I mean, he's about a second quicker than Matt Bell right now, but he's too many seconds behind. 11 seconds behind at that pace. You need 15, 16 minutes left in this race versus 8, so not going to be a threat, but certainly something to think about for tomorrow. I think with Sargent starting from such a strong track position,
certainly
Roll's reversal where he's going to build a gap like Phillip Ellis did and ask Washington to hang on.
We've not touched on the Pro Class battle in some time. Connor DeFilippi has had it on lockdown. The gap has been right around 5 seconds, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. It's at 4.6 now to Mikhail Grenier. Then it's Choxy and Jan Halen. First, second, third, and fourth in Foley. Great job by the Turner team to get to the front in Pro-Am. Matt Bell, Tom Sargent, and the Burton Turner Telitz trio. That's about to get interesting in a lap or so. Lap traffic for the leader to contend with. That's Eric Powell out the windscreen for Connor DeFilippi. Here is Turner. This is where it all kicked off.
A similar gap coming on the front straightaway. I think Darren will be a little bit more patient this time, and he's not got the same urgency because he had Tom Sargent all over his tail, but he's also got Telitz right there, so he can't hang around too long here. I think turn 5 is the key area. Just needs to nail turn 2 here, get that exit, and just drive up on Jeff and send it down the inside.
Tries to put the power down in the Aston, drawing closer to the Mercedes.
He'll a long way back again, too far back.
And that brings Telitz that much closer.
Jeff just rolls off the brake really early there and just kind of widens his exit there, but he did a nice job there, really no change in the gap by running that line. So this is really a great run from Jeff Burton. Yeah, he's up against it, right? I mean, it's really hard with the experience level that some of these pros have to defend, but I love his feistiness here today, and his lap times have been pretty impressive too.
And again, remember, this is the same set of tires they started the race on. They did not change Pirellis during the pit stop, so he's had to manage that too.
Just ran another 24.9. That was the target they were giving him. High 24s is what you need, Jeff. He's doing it.
Turner closes in. This is where Washington was able to, not Washington, excuse me, Sargent was able to carve around the inside. Turner backing up this final corner, trying to get the run. That brings Telitz a little bit closer, but yeah, not close enough.
It's like he just kind of gaps him right at the apex, and Jeff is getting through the apex really well. Look at that. The gap didn't change down the front straightaway. I think Darren's got to change his timing a little bit here.
Jeff just ran a 24.6.
That's awesome stuff. That is incredible on tires that are now 85 minutes into this stint.
Here we go. Turner's got him. Big run to the inside. This time he'll lunge to the inside and he'll make sure Jeff doesn't cut across the bow. Telitz will follow Turner through, but Jeff will try and fight back.
Well, he didn't talk in sending a message to Jeff Burton. I think his little move there at the end of that braking zone was enough to say, hey, you didn't give me much love down in turn 1 10 minutes ago.
Sure. That put Turner to 4th. That puts Telitz into 5th. But Darren's going to have to fight here for the final 5 minutes. Aaron Telitz looks like he's got pace in spades in that McLaren from Archangel Motorsports.
Yeah, it's been a really good run from Telitz. His fastest laps are 22.4 compared to Darren Turner's 22.4, so very evenly matched.
Hey, Cal. Oh, never mind. I was going to say, timing and scoring swapped the 2 M-Class cars just a moment ago, but it's popped back, so hopefully it's just a transponder issue and nothing has struck the Dollarhide car. Eric Powell still shown now back ahead. That had me panicking for a moment.
See what Telitz can do here. See if he can work some magic, get that car up in P4.
Now, we talked about the relative strength and weakness of some of the different platforms, and for Telitz and Coleman in this McLaren, they feel like they're super strong on the brakes, but getting from one braking zone to the next one can be the challenging part. Let's see how they stack up against this Aston Martin.
Well, balance of performance is really relating to overall lap time. How you get there, it can be different. We often talk about the BMW having really good straight line speed and compromised in other areas. And I think talking to Mike Johnson, he said just the raceability of the McLaren is a little bit difficult. Yeah, we've got good lap time, we've got good performance in certain areas, but we get into this duel like they're in right now with Turner. It's tough to make a move, and as you said earlier, talking to Todd Coleman, he just said we have to make big risks in terms of coming from a long way back into the brake zones. Whew, looked pretty ragged through there.
He's not holding back.
No.
Grenier's been able to chip away at this, and remember, this is the car that will start on the overall pole tomorrow.
That last lap, though, they were separated by just 0.04 of a second, the 2 leaders, so kind of recognize this isn't going to be a cruise to the checkered flag here. It's a big, big day for this championship, though. I mean, it's it's a 14-point swing, right, in terms of if they swap positions right now. They came into this race with an 18-point lead. As they run, it'd be 25. Conversely, it would have been 11. Grenier talked about it on the grid to Amanda, like, it's important that we take points away and close the gap to Indy.
Just 75 points remain after the points for this race are paid. 50 of them come in the double points Indy 8 hour. There's the Dollarhide team. What a rebound this would be. I think a lot of the paddock wondered would they even be on the grid here at Barber after the huge crash at Road America, but immense effort from the Ford Racing, as it's now known, formerly Ford Performance Group, Multimatic, Dollarhide Racing, everybody involved to build up this brand new chassis and have it ready to go. Car's had rave reviews ever since it first turned a wheel here at Barber earlier this week.
Yeah, and these GT3 race cars are not cheap. They're not 7 figures, but they're not far shy of that.
Ford in the news earlier today, and Evo is coming in the not-so-distant future for this Mustang. They continue to put more and more muscle behind their sports car racing program, and it's nice to see the commitment continues to GT racing, even as they branch out into Formula One as an engine manufacturer, as well as into prototype sports car racing in the not-so-distant future.
Jim Farley's in attendance at Monza this weekend at the F1 race. I'm on the screens there yesterday. Should be white flag next time by for our leader, Connor De Filippi. What a celebration this would be for his marriage just a week ago. Pop some more champagne.
Looking for the 6th win this season. Connor De Filippi and Kenton Cook. And it would come here on the site where they were so cruelly denied.
Getting tight here, Jan Halen. You see how deep he was on the brakes there. He's threatening here to catch Varun Choksi in the latter stages here. He was like in a different zip code there about 15, 20 minutes ago, and suddenly he's gone on the attack and has caught the BMW. Varun's just got to keep his head down. Despite it only being a 4-car Pro Class field, still tough to get that podium run here done. You got to execute every step of the way.
No question.
Just strong in the opening part of that race. How he defended. Mikkel got his elbows out to make the move, but then Varun kind of hung with him and took off a little bit from Jan Halen.
It was 0.4 of a second, the pace difference between the two on the last lap. It's over a second, close to a second and a half, the difference between the two of them as they enter the final lap. Connor DeFilippi and Kenton Cook trying to take a firmer grasp over the championship with just 2 races remaining in 2025. Last year, Random Vandals Racing, in just their second ever weekend of GT3 racing, very nearly scored a victory right here at Barber Motorsports Park. It went away from them in the final minutes, but they return a year later, a year stronger. This has become a powerhouse team from GT4 all the way up to GT3. And Connor DeFilippi and Kenton Cook are looking to cement their position on top of the point standings if they can hang on.
Kenton Cook, what a season he's putting together. Leads the Pirelli GT4 silver standings with Kevin Boehm. Scored a victory here yesterday in the makeup race. I think this will potentially be his 12th victory on the year across 3 different championships.
Just a few more corners for his teammate Connor DeFilippi to navigate. One more left-handed bend now for the San Clemente, California native. He comes through to see the checkered flag for the 6th time this year. Connor DeFilippi, Kenton Cook, and Random Vandals take the Pro Class win, this time here in Alabama at Barber Motorsports Park. Mikhail Grenier comes across the line in 2nd place. Varun Choksi coming to the line to take 3rd ahead of Jan Halen. Meanwhile, in Pro-Am, great final stint from Robbie Foley to take his Turner BMW to the lead. The reigning Pro-Am champions get that much closer to defending their title. Foley and Rothberg win for Turner here at Barber.
That is huge in the championship. Huge. Justin celebrates with the crew. Massive, massive day. Bell got a lot closer. There's only a couple of seconds there at the finish, but you'd have to feel that Foley was just managing that gap over the last 2 or 3 laps here.
And Eric Powell indeed does hang on to deliver the victory. His first GT3 win, it should be noted. And another victory for the team. They inch a little bit closer in the title fight at AM2.
Really tight. 3.5 points back. They do the same thing tomorrow, sweep the weekend. They'd be 3.5 in front.
What a recovery from Dalahai Racing. I talked to Scott a little bit earlier this weekend. He had that crash in the kink we've been talking about. He hit the outside, which is safer barrier. He hit the inside, which is concrete. And he said, I did a head-to-head comparison. They both hurt. Wouldn't recommend either. It's good he had a good sense of humor about the whole thing. Very scary moment. But they bounced back in a massive way. Big day for BMW, too, with wins in the 2 classes they were entered in, especially here in Pro-Am. This one is maybe as impressive as Turner has had this year, Cal, when you consider they had the longer pit stop, the weight that they're carrying. They've had a lot thrown at them by virtue of Rothberg being a derogated bronze, and yet they come out on top again.
Yeah, they did. I was really surprised how quickly Foley was able to catch Matt Bell and get by him and gap him, and then at the end it seemed like it stabilized the gap.
This is the way they crossed the line at the checkered flag. Cook and DeFilippi by 4.2 seconds over Stevens and Grenier. That car will start on pole tomorrow. Then Choksi and Oberlin finish in 3rd. Another podium result for them. Halen and Sedgwick, despite the hard charge late in the going, Jan could not do anything with Varun. In Pro-Am, Robbie Foley and Justin Rothberg lead home. Matt Bell and Blake McDonald. Tom Sargent, what a charge. That's a car to watch tomorrow. He and Kyle Washington can celebrate this one on the podium, just ahead of Turner and Newell, Tielitz and Coleman. Another car to watch in race 2. Then in the M class, Powell and Dalahide for the Dalahide Racing operation score another famous win for Ford. the first, I suspect, for Ford since rebranding Ford Performance to Ford Racing. So congratulations to them for that little accomplishment. Osnegrich, Jay Schreiben will try again tomorrow to build that lead back up in a tight AM-class battle going into the final 2 races of the season. Fun race. Tomorrow figures to be pretty exciting as well. Much different weather conditions, at least in the forecast. Much cooler, perhaps. So teams might have to scramble a little bit from a setup perspective. There's the celebration as Connor DeFilippi, the newlywed, hops out of the car and shares a quick hug with Kitten Cook. And very soon we'll have a chance to hear from our various class winners, including these two who won overall. There's the Dollarhide team celebrating. And that is a remarkable turnaround for them from the lowest of lows to this high point here at Barber.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Bill Dollarhide there, Scott's father. There's Brooklyn. I think she's on site. Connor's new bride.
Hot and toasty day, as you can see, for the drivers. And in just a moment, we will hear from Connor and Kitten as Robbie Foley parks his later crate BMW in victory lane. There's Justin Rothberg there to celebrate with his co-driver. And what a final stint it was from Robbie. Let's head down to victory lane and Amanda.
And there was a big kiss from now wife of Connor DeFilippi. As you said, I'm so proud for you. But when you look at the last week for yourself, from sipping champagne to spraying champagne, how do you describe that roller coaster for yourself?
I mean, a lot of life events lately, obviously. Got married this last weekend and flew straight to Birmingham. We have our honeymoon here in Birmingham, Alabama. So really proud of the team. Kenton did a phenomenal job. Everyone's worked really hard. We put in a lot of work this weekend to make the car better. I think we were a little worried for the long run, but we made some changes into qualifying that really put us that step forward we needed, and we kind of went into a new direction that's been good for us. So really proud of the team, just happy we executed well today, and let's carry that momentum in tomorrow.
Getting more points for a little bit more of a buffer. How safe do you feel?
A little bit more, but I mean, you can't ever be too safe until you come out of this weekend with, I think, a couple more points. But I'm really proud of the team. Nathan gave us a good car, and these guys worked really hard. Tim, Kevin, and Derek, Nathan put them through a lot of work this weekend, but it ended up paying off. Thankfully, we were able to get him a win. Connor brought it home, and yeah, very thankful. And there was a lot of changes we've done, and I'm glad we made them because the car was pretty good.
Looks like this guy had a lot of help too. Well, as we get over to your Pro-Am winners here today, Robbie Foley and Justin Rothberg. Guys, we've been talking about points, and another one of the class leaders finds victory here, but it still doesn't mean that it's safe all the way down to Indianapolis. But Robbie, I want to talk about not only your pursuit of Jeff Burton, but just just flying through to get positioning. When you have your sights set on something, what does that elicit in you?
We had a great pit stop in pit lane, and then could make a few good out laps to kind of set a bit of a gap in the tone for the stint, and then just tried to manage it from there. And yeah, the car was good all stint, and tried to.
And Justin, as you look ahead to tomorrow, you will have the second half of the race. In terms of the evolution of the race today, what did you learn to take to tomorrow?
We had a little bit of push to manage, but I just had to adjust in the high-speed areas. I think tomorrow, taking over in the second half, the big issue is going to be the marbles, so just stay on the line and do my job.
Okay, we'll keep a look on that as well, guys. I'm going to go find our AM class winners. The Ford Mustang, best the Ford versus Ferrari battle at this point. And Ryan, as you said, and first win maybe for Ford Racing as we have the rebrand. But Scott, I want to come right to you because I know what this team went through to get right back to this moment. How much more rewarding is that considering what you've gone through?
It feels incredible. You know, we put hundreds of man hours into getting this car ready, and you know, I can't say enough about the whole Ford Racing family, Multimatic, and all the Dollarhide Racing team that made this possible for us. So yeah, just hats off to all of them. Yeah.
Well, as we know, no matter what, this is going to come down to Indy. And Eric, have you joined the team in VIR? How fun is this ride for you?
It's so much fun to be with these guys. I mean, everyone gels so well together. They've made me feel like family right away. These guys have been family for a long time. So I'm so excited to be with these guys. I hope it continues for many years, but who knows. But Scott did a great job today. Of course, it's hard to pass, but, you know, the team executed flawlessly, and we had a good pit stop, and, you know, it made my job really easy, to be honest. So,
Race 1 in the books, Ryan.
Congratulations to him, and I shortchanged Eric. He did win earlier this year at VIR, so congratulations for a second GT3 win. This is how it played out. Race number 1 in front of a nice crowd here in Birmingham, Alabama. Engines roared to life. And we got this race underway. About 90 minutes ago, it was a front row that saw Philip Ellis take command from the drop of the green flag. Big moment here. Diego Nunez in his debut on the opening lap had a off-track excursion, able to recover, put together a nice stint from there. Scott Dolehite involved in some good battles outside of his own class. Philip Ellis from the lead wasn't holding back. Great save from the Swiss. Kenton Cook pushing on as well in the opening stint, leading in the pro class. But after the pit stops, we had an elbows out moment as Mikhail Grenier dove to the inside and took second place away from Varun Choksi. Crucial moment here in the Pro-Am battle, not just for the race, but for the season-long championship, as Robbie Foley was able to get around Matt Bell. That's in the pit stop sequence. Crucial for them, as Foley then was able to drive away and consolidate the victory for Turner. Jeff Burton inherited the overall lead on the alternate strategy, but saw the pro-class cars come through. This was a scary moment right in front of Matt Bell, who went on to finish second in the Pro-Am class. Burton involved in a couple of tussles. This was with Darren Turner. No action taken. Race control ruling it a racing incident. Eventually, Turner did run him back down, made the pass, and Aaron Tiewitz followed him through. At the front of the field, though, Cotter Di Filippi, the newlywed, came through to see the checkered flag first. He got the win in the pro class for the Random Vandals team. Eric Powell and Dolehite Racing scored the win in AM. And your Pro-Am winners, Turner Motorsports, Robbie Foley and Justin Rothberg.